Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for today's edition of Tips from a TTO with Megan Wallander from the tax office. We appreciate her coming into the studio as always, even on such a rainy day.
Oh my goodness, it was a trip. I mean, I'm more worried about my hair, but you know, the accidents. Like, good gravy.
Folks, we appreciate you being here with us today. Remember, we are looking for an opportunity to help your business, to bring you information resources that can help you understand the current climate, especially with everything that's changing right now.
Lots of changes.
Lots of changes going on. So please hit the subscribe button. Hit that bell for more alerts when we have more programming, because we're going to be talking more about these types of things. I mean, the sweeping changes that are happening.
They're happening very quick.
Right.
And so you can definitely miss something if you're not paying attention. So that resource page is going to come in handy.
Exactly. And the taxoffice.com, they have a resource center with information continually
updating it, yes.
Exactly. If you follow them on Facebook at I think it's at TTO STL, isn't it?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah,
yes.
Facebook is at TTO STL. Follow them on Facebook. All kinds of information continuing to flow. That's what it's all about, right?
Yes, we are doing our best to keep up as much as possible with the memos coming through and whatnot, and updating our resource page as soon as we get that information. Together, updating that resource page. That way you have a one-stop shop. So
there's new minimum wage in town.
Yes. Starting January 1st, Missouri went to 10.30, and we are in Missouri, so that's what we concentrate around. However, double check your state if you're not in the state of Missouri.
Right.
There were a lot of minimum wages changes around the state. So
I believe Illinois changed too.
Illinois went up. I think there were some changes around the Texas. I know we have a client in Texas, so definitely check with your local and state governments and make sure that you're meeting that standards. You don't want to get caught at the end of the year.
No, because then you got to make that up.
You got to
right?
make that up. Yes, yeah, you got to make that up. Plus the taxes that come with that too. So that can get pretty tricky. Yeah.
Really? So if I haven't brought all of my employees up to that $10.30 an hour minimum wage.
So you have an employee and you've paid them $10 an hour because whatever happened.
Right.
So not only do you have to make up that 30 cents for the entire year, or however long they weren't making that 30 cents, there's going to be the taxes that go along with that. So you'll be subject to, catching up the payroll taxes that go with that as well. So you can get behind really quick. So definitely don't wait on that. You will be subject. So, say that, oh, dang it, I forgot. You change it today. You get that updated and whatnot. You do need to catch that up for the first month of the year as well.
So I know there's, political on both sides, people's opinions on both sides.
Yes, lots of opinions.
$10.30 an hour, I think, is a pretty good minimum wage.
It's a very good minimum wage.
But the president's come out and said he's wanted to go to $15 an hour.
Yes.
Minimum wage.
Yes.
What do you think that does for this local? I mean, you guys are in touch. You do have a lot of micro business, small business.
We do.
How's that going to affect people if that goes into effect?
Oh man, the effects of that, and I don't want to, I'm not going to mince words. It's going to be catastrophic. It is especially
you believe
for
that. I mean, that's pretty.
It is catastrophic. I mean, for a typical small business, I mean, you think $10 to $12 an hour is a pretty decent minimum wage. I think the biggest thing that we take a look at is your $9 an hour employees, even your $8 an hour employees, which they're probably not a whole lot of those because minimum wage last year was $9.75. So you think about it, at $9.75 to $10 an hour is pretty good entry level. It stops your entry level positions for your 16-year-olds, your 15-year-olds to get that work experience. Because let's face it, a 16 to 17-year-old, they don't need to make $15 an hour. They're still living at home. So they get into a $9.75, $10 an hour. They get that work experience. They get the, how to be in the workplace, how to conduct yourself. And so that's, I believe it's going to stifle that in my experience. It will.
But here's the other side of that. You have an employee that's been working for you for 15 years.
15 years, yes, that's the other side, yes.
I can't pay more than $15 an hour.
No.
And here I hire somebody, I have to pay them the same amount
Yes.
as that person with 15 years experience. There's an issue with that, wouldn't you say?
Oh, a huge issue. It's going to create a lot of workplace conversations that I suggest that you unfortunately you're going to have to start having. And it brings up, where does your budget play into that? So in 2020, we talked about budget, where you sit with that, creating a budget, how to set that up. What does that look like from an accounting standpoint? So this is, paying your people is one of the biggest sections in your budget, and what that looks like with your health benefits and whatnot. So when you think of $15, let's go even right with what's right now, $10.30. What if you offer your employees health benefits or vacation pay or whatnot? That plays into the budget piece in what you pay. So in reality, you're probably paying, depending on what your benefits are, you're already paying them $15 an hour.
That's a very good point.
So that all plays into it.
And you've got some bullet points here you want to go through. So let's get to those.
So we talked about budget. That's I think the number one, how it affects your business. How many employees can I actually afford to keep on and still operate my business with you as the business owner, not doing the everyday operation? So that's a big question. And am I allowed to cut hours? That was a big thing when I was in the corporations. If you're going to cut somebody hours, what does that look like from a documentation standpoint? What does that conversation look like? And that's huge because, when you do have that 15-year employee and you have to sit down with them and say, hey, listen, this is where we're at. So really, navigating through that, which we can definitely help with. I have lots of experience there. And then again, what does that conversation look like? And not waiting to have that conversation. You don't want your employees to have to come to you to ask about operations, minimum wage, rates, and you know what, you want to get ahead of that and be in communication with your team.
So I want to go back to this one point real quick, Meg, with you. I think most people don't understand the fact of the if you do want to do health benefits, if you do want to give vacation pay, you're paying that extra $3 an hour for all of that.
Yes. So depending on what your premiums are, whatnot, it can definitely be higher. There are businesses that that pay half of the insurance for the employee. They pay all of it. We have several clients that pay all of it. So there's a lot that goes into. It's not just going to be $10.30 an hour that you're paying them, especially if you are one of those employers that takes care of their teams and offers those types of benefits, which is, it builds loyalty, it builds, retention, which we all should be concerned about retention because that's why the hiring process is so important. The hiring process is so important because of the retention piece of it. You don't want to bring somebody in, train them, and in 3 months you lose them at $15 an hour. That would be rough on the old budget.
Well, think about that. You're right. And I think there's the other aspect of that, training. Everybody knows retention is much more cost effective than hiring.
Yes.
Because you have to pay the person to train
the person,
your other person,
your new hire. So you're doubling that cost for at least, a good solid training program is going to last at least 4 weeks. And then the continued training of, you might have somebody with, them a couple days a week to continue that until they can effectively be on their own. I mean, it can take up to 3 months. And, back in, my day with the, restaurant industry, it took a good year to get somebody completely confident in their position to do it by themselves, to where I could trust them to be on their own and not need me or another employee next to them. So it can get very costly very quickly.
Absolutely.
Especially at especially at $10.30 an hour, let alone $15 an hour. So.
And we're going to keep up to date with these
Yes,
things again.
we are.
Remember, the taxoffice.com, their resource center, updating information.
Absolutely.
So we got a few housekeeping items left, right?
Housekeeping, yes. So, quarter 4 reports, they are due February 1st. I do not recommend that you wait till then to utilize the post office. We are still seeing delays on our end. And so, get those reports in, get them postmarked. As long as they're postmarked by February 1st, you'll be okay. But I don't like to wait till the last minute on those types of things. So get those quarter reports, your 941 report, which is your federal withholding, your Missouri 941. Most of these things are electronic. There is a day, so you need to solidify that payment the day before it's due, just an FYI. Get those payments in, get your reports in. Your 940 report, which is your annual report. This gets forgot. It gets lost in the shuffle. So it's a 940 report. It is your federal unemployment. It is an annual report. It needs to be sent in February 1st, postmarked February 1st. If you don't have access to those reports, again, visit that resource page. We have all of those reports on there. You can fill them out, get them into their designated spot. We also have addresses on there. If you have questions on where to send them, it's kind of split down the middle. So visit that resource page. As well as we do, Greg came into my office the other day and said, okay, we have a new filing date for good old tax season. So it's a little bit later than we expect from previous years. It is February 12th. Previous years, it was the end of January 27th, 28th. You could file your taxes. They have moved it back to February 12th. You can electronically file.
Okay.
So we're about 2 weeks behind from previous years.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Mm-hmm. So great information as always.
Yes.
It is. It's a lot of information. These are important things to stay up with.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And this is why we are here with tips from TTO. That's why we do this. We want this to be a resource opportunity for our local community and the communities around us.
Absolutely.
Especially for our types of businesses. It's going to be an interesting.
It's going to be an interesting year, and one more point with the tax piece of it. So with the stimulus packages, so the $1,200 that you received last year, and the $600 that you received this year, that is going to play a part in your tax returns. So be very open and honest with your tax guy. If you did receive it, if you received a partial payment, if you didn't receive it, there are credits that you can get on your tax return for 2020. So be what's the word I'm looking for? Vigilant. There we go. And we believe we've heard some talk around websites and whatnot that you're going to be receiving an IRS letter stating that you did receive the $1,200, you received a partial payment. Bring all those documents into your accountant. That way you can get those credits on your tax return if you weren't able to receive the stimulus for whatever reason that might be. So
very good, very good.
Yes.
Folks, as always, we appreciate you joining with us today. Remember, if this has been helpful, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to get the alerts, and share it. Please share it. Hit the like. Leave us a comment. If you got a question for us, we'd be happy to answer it. You can go to www.thetaxoffice.com. Megan is there. You can contact them with any questions. I would suggest you go to the Resource Center and look at that page and see if that's, there's great information there. So as always, folks, we appreciate it, as I said. And remember, have a great day in the Lord, and we'll see you next time.